I'm Lenny Clifford for RedFOX Labs with Ben Fairbank, the co-founder and CEO, back in for our weekly AMA. Last week we saw the first reveal of the VALT, and it's another important week and a pivotal week for the launch of RFOX Finance. That's coming any day now. Benny, how are you going?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Obviously, it's been a pretty hectic time for us, as it always is when we're growing as fast as we are, but very exciting times for sure.
Sure is, and it was really cool to see the first reveal last week, and I know it was a proud moment for a lot of you. I overheard Chief Operations Officer Wade say it was the proudest moment of his career, and that just goes to show what's been created. It's unique, it's a world first, it's world class, but it's also damn hard work, and I can see just what the team are putting into it. You have some smart people working on this, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that to take into context or the reason that comment is so important is because we've got a much bigger view of what the actual world looks like and how it comes together and all the pieces. And what we're trying to do is to use someone else's borrowed analogy. It's like a baby who's just taking his first steps, and we know that this kid's going to become a footballer. But for the purpose of keeping people up to date and informed and all the rest of it, we've got to put a ball at his feet and show that he's making progress. So the first lot of pictures that we've put out in the first fly through gives people a little bit of an insight, and it gets their imagination and their juices flowing. But ultimately, there's so much more to this than meets the eye, and that's why we're so excited and proud, because we understand how mammoth this is going to be.
Yeah, it's cool. Like you're definitely not just doing daily grind. It's such a unique time to be working and unique organization and what you're doing. Okay, so let's take a look at the fly through. Can you talk me through what we're seeing for people new to RFOX and COGS and metaverses? What are you actually seeing inside this fly through?
Yeah, we wanted to showcase how realistic we can make these spaces look, and what we've done is we've set up a gallery style area where we've put cogs on the wall as the showcase items to show you, just to give you an indication of what you could do as far as showcasing your merchandise is concerned. Now, you could also use that on the floor. We've not only got wall hangings, we've also got display cases. You see on the back wall that we've also got a big logo that's lit up that reminds people, where they are and who they're shopping with. And then we've also tried to give it the textures of the lighting, and also even the air conditioning makes shadowing effects. So we've really gone into a lot of detail to showcase real world businesses, how realistic this can be, and help them transition into the virtual space. Down the track, we'll move more towards space-themed buildings once people have got their heads around the concept.
Yeah. So this particular shop is the RFOX shop, or is it the RFOX HQ? What is it exactly?
This one in particular is literally just a demo fly through of, again, showing the type of detail and highlighting what it is that can be built. And if you're a retailer, you need to see something that translates from your current space into something that is tangible. So that's what we've tried to do. So the actual RFOX Games, RedFOX Labs, and all of our venture buildings will be very specific to what they actually do. So this is purely just a showcase and an ad for what we're doing.
I recognize a mountain behind the counter on that cog there. Is that a mountain in Peru? Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I do know what it is, but it is a with those things, the lands and the elements, we've got some. There's a use case for those coming forward with the cogs, so I'm not going to talk about those too much, because that'll give away the mystery and some of what we're about to do.
Okay, well, it looks really cool anyway. I see the RFOX logo kind of etched into the ice face. I like it. Okay, so that was the first reveal of one of the spaces, and from the outside of the vault, we can see that there are three main cities. What was that blue beam in the center?
That's also something that's going to be revealed, but let's just say that it is to do with transport, and it's also to do with delivery. So delivery and transport, that's all I can give away, because what we're going to do over the next couple of months is start to roll out the story behind the world, the differences between the three cities and what all of the elements actually do. It's quite an involved and complex story to bring together, and it's got a whole theme behind it. So what we want to do is roll that out gradually as we reveal each of the cities. So we're going to do very similarly to what we did in COGS first edition, and that is give away the first couple of images, and then we'll start to gradually build the momentum and roll it right out up until the sale and also the release.
Okay. Can you say anything about those domes that we're seeing? They're like the quarters. Do they have the gaming, music arts, general shops inside?
Yeah, we have actually talked about the fact that we will have auditoriums for concerts and theatre, etc. We'll also have an esports stadium. That's going to be very, very important to us, especially here in Southeast Asia, and then that ties in the gaming side of things as well. So we'll take people through each of those and explain what the differences are, but there is definitely provisions for concerts and esports and a whole lot of other stuff. We've also hinted at, and we'll explain that in further releases, but you'll notice that there is also, I guess the best way to say it is facilities for some sort of a sporting event that can actually take many shapes and forms, and that's going to be one of the features of the space as well.
Okay, can't wait for that. You have the land sale coming up in May, so we'll have the opportunity to bid on shops. How would we know the best place to buy a shop, and how would you value digital commercial real estate?
Yeah, it's a very good question. All people have got to reference is what's happened before. Into Centraland now, they've got thousands of blocks of lands, and some of those blocks go for 400,000-500,000 in auctions. Ours is only going to have 100 for sale, 120 in total. It's very, very difficult to say how to value them. As far as the difference in the cities, we'll go over what the differences are before the actual land sale. And what we'll also do is roll out a very detailed map on the numbers of the actual blocks and where you would be buying. So you have the potential to be able to auction for a particular block. We're also looking at introducing the element of being able to just bid in general, so that if you miss out on the one that you want, you can have anyone as long as it's in the price range that comes up. So we're playing around with a couple of different ideas for that. So we'll reveal that closer to the sale date.
Okay then, so let's talk about RFOX Finance. And from what I've seen, the user interface is looking pretty schmick, and you're currently auditing and testing and working on some final touches, right?
Yeah, we'd actually gone through that process for the auditing and all the rest of it. And then as stated, there was a migration from V1 to V2 on PancakeSwap, and we just wanted to make sure that everything was working okay. A lot of the changes did affect the front end that we'd built, and also the back end stuff as well. So we had to basically start again with some of the elements, and we've had to re-audit everything, which was interesting. And now we're just in the final stages of testing it all now that it's together, and making sure that we follow the user journey from beginning to end. We're really happy with it. We're very, very excited to go into the DeFi realm. We have, for those who've been around for a long time in the RFOX community, you'd know that we have talked about really delving into the DeFi space, and we're finally here after, I guess, a year or 18 months of talking about our entry into it. We're ready, and we're about to delve into it. So very exciting.
Yeah, that's right. I actually remember speaking to you in December last year, and you mentioned that you had some interesting things, yeah, you're definitely delivering on that conversation. Okay, so the launch has been delayed slightly, and for good reason. Hearing the concern that you have for people who are putting their money down on RFOX and looking to take part in liquidity pools, and to me that stands out in comparison to a lot of organizations which are like just driven by sales and numbers with little regard to customers. And from my view, a big part of your culture is doing the right thing by people. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's what it's ingrained in us. I've spent 2 decades in customer experience, and it's something that we take very, very seriously. So we want to make sure that the end user has a great and smooth journey, and we understand that the technology doesn't allow for that yet. So we're trying to sort of make it as good as we can while we're waiting for people like ourselves to build the tools that make it easier. And at the same time, it's already risky enough, crypto space, so we don't want it to be any more risky than it needs to be. So we've been pretty forward in making sure that we give back what we've raised to the community. We've done that through first and second edition of COGS and more. We just really want to make sure that the community understands that we're seeing, and we're grateful for what they've done for us as well. So now we're just really putting our heads down. We're delivering. Fundamentals and prices and all the rest of it don't always necessarily align, but the fundamentals have never been stronger, and we're getting closer to having several key products on the table, and we're very, very excited about that.
Yeah, that's good. And so what about inclusion? It's a bit of a dirty word for me, actually, because I know how so many organizations use it for marketing and phony ESG policy, while at the same time they're the biggest human rights abusers. But how is RedFOX Labs inclusive?
Yeah, we've been very much focused on that. If we're in Southeast Asia, which is where we're based, we understand that digital products don't really have borders or boundaries. So still a large part of our audience is in the US and Australia and Europe. But we understand that the audience and the market here is very different. It's also language specific on the different region. And we've covered that before. We'll start with the Philippines, which is English speaking, and then we'll roll out to the language specific countries. But what we've got to be mindful of is that whatever we're offering as a service or a product needs to be inclusive for the people that are using it. So we do have to have play to earn mechanics. It's a huge part of our modus operandus going forward. And also the cashback and rewards is very big for us, because it doesn't matter which part of the region, world you're in, or which region you're in, these types of e-commerce shopping platforms are still used by everybody. We're trying to make it easier for those people to use, and we're trying to provide that cashback of 7 or 8% back on the purchase of items that you're purchasing through our platforms, which incentivizes every user to come in and make sure that people aren't costed out. So the land sales and stuff will be interesting, because it will then progress at a local level to more hawker style and kiosks and all that sort of stuff as well. But we're very mindful of the fact that we're doing things that are going to expedite our growth and adoption, but also that are not going to cost the little guys out.
Yeah, it sure has. Okay, so just going back to the RFOX Finance launch, when it is launched, we'll be able to buy RFOX on Binance Smart Chain, and what impact will that have on wallet holder numbers?
Yeah, so I can only go on like statistics and data, obviously, but new projects that launch on that side, if you look at the ones that have that are fair dinkum, that have actually had a proper go at it, and not just some sort of spun up in an afternoon type of money grab type of thing, they average about 6,450 new wallet users on the BSC side, which just goes to show you how much the Binance Smart Chain community is growing. So you could expect that there's going to be a lot of new VFOX wallet holders, and consequently a lot of RFOX wallet holders on the BSC side as well. So I'd be really, really shocked if our community sizes and our wallet holders didn't double overnight. I'd be very shocked, but I'd expect that there will be an explosion, and we're gearing up for that with our ambassador program and trying to make sure we've got enough support to be able to handle all the queries that are coming in.
It's very exciting. You'll soon be able to buy RFOX on Binance Smart Chain, and that also means lower gas fees.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing that we are really mindful of. We've been listening to the feedback of our audience, and the audience has basically said gas fees are killer. It's not always going to be the case, so it's a temporary issue. And then we've seen people and the migration starting to happen to BSC as a cheaper alternative for the interim. And so we've always said that we've got a multi-chain strategy, and so we listened, and we've adapted, and we've made sure that we're able to offer a cheaper to transact and cheaper to use. Again, it's part of inclusion. You shouldn't have to have $60 or $80 to make a transaction. That's a lot of money to someone who's only investing a couple of $100. It's a big part of what they're trying to invest gone. So we've listened, and we've made sure that we're trying to cater for everybody. It won't suit everybody, but the fact is we're not here to please absolutely everybody. We're here to provide products and services that are high quality, that have a great experience and are for the masses. So we will we'll continue to build where it is in the best interest of both the company and also our users.
Yeah, that's it. No, it's a great move. Yeah, no one likes gas. So before we wrap it up, Benny, would you like to leave any last remarks or advice for people getting involved in the upcoming RFOX Finance launch?
Yeah, I'd say, look, just so that you're all aware straight out, because we do want to focus on the experience always. If there's ever holes in the information that we're providing, it's generally to do with legal, or it's generally to do with the way that the structure works. I would say if you don't know how to do it, don't just barge into ours or anybody else's Telegram channel and sort of say, walk me through the process from beginning to end. It's something that you've got to go away and do your own research. You're responsible for your investments and your money. If you know how it works and you've researched it and you've done it before, then this should be really easy for you. If you haven't done it before, it could be overwhelming and daunting for you. And I would say exercise extreme caution. This is high risk when you're talking about liquidity providing and farming, with lots of impermanent loss to take into consideration. There's the staking coming, which is much more of a softer entry and easier for people to understand. But our advice as always is, if you don't understand it, stay away from it. If you do understand it, then by all means be our guest. We don't have the same capacity to be able to provide 24/7 support and handhold people through getting on and getting off. It should be fairly self-explanatory. There's lots of materials out there for people to be able to research. And eventually we'll get to a situation where it's just point and click. But until then, there's still a few steps to go through, and it is a bit cumbersome, and that's why there's higher risk and higher gains to be made.
Okay, so that's it for now, guys. Keep a lookout for the announcements on the RFOX Finance launch, and remember to do your own research, as Benny says. We're keen to hear your questions and comments, so feel free to leave them below. Thanks a lot, guys. Catch you later, Benny.
Thanks, guys. See you.